Hello, friend. I am Neil Tyson, and tonight it is my honor to be your guide. Welcome to Whispers from the Milky Way. Together, we are going to leave the gentle weight of the day behind. Let it rest, just as you are beginning to rest now. We are about to embark on a journey, not across land or sea, but across the vast, silent ocean of space. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you release it, feel the edges of the room begin to soften. Let the quiet of the cosmos begin to fill the space around you. Imagine yourself wrapped in the deepest, most comfortable velvet of the night sky, dotted with the soft, distant lights of a billion sleeping suns. Our world, with its hurried pace and endless concerns, can feel so large, so all-encompassing. But tonight, we will find perspective. We will float away from the familiar blue and white marble of our home and drift into the grand, quiet theater of the universe. In this immense quiet, there are travelers, wanderers, objects that have journeyed for millions, perhaps billions of years in the cold and the dark between the stars. They are messengers, carrying tales of their own distant homes, of stars you have never seen, of worlds that have only ever been imagined. For most of human history, we only ever knew the members of our own solar family, our planets, our asteroids, our comets, all loyal subjects bound by the gravity of our sun. But we have recently learned that our home is a port of call for visitors from afar. These interstellar travelers arrive unannounced, sweep through our cosmic neighborhood, and then depart, continuing their endless journey into the great unknown. They are whispers from other star systems, and tonight we are going to listen to one of those whispers. We are going to follow the trail of a very special guest, a comet named 2I/Borisov. It was the second interstellar object ever detected, and the first to show itself so clearly. It traveled for an unknowable time, from an unknowable home, just to grace us with its presence for a few fleeting months. It brought with it secrets from the deep galaxy, secrets frozen in its icy heart. And as you continue to breathe, slowly and deeply, we will uncover them together. Let us drift now into the quiet darkness and listen to the first secret, the story of the one who found it. Our story begins not in the cold vacuum of space, but on a warm summer night on Earth. It begins in Crimea, a peninsula reaching out into the Black Sea, a place of ancient history and deep, dark night skies. Here, under the familiar, gentle canopy of our own Milky Way, a man named Gennady Borisov spent his nights doing what he loved most, looking up. Gennady was not a professional astronomer in some grand state-funded observatory. He was a creator, an engineer who built his own telescopes, crafting them with his own hands, polishing the mirrors, assembling the components, driven by a pure and simple passion for the cosmos. His observatory was a personal one, a small dome he called Margot. It was his private window to the universe. Imagine the dedication. Night after night, while the world around him slept, Gennady was awake. He was a watcher. He was listening to the light. There is a special kind of peace in this patient observation, a quiet dialogue between the human heart and the vastness of space. Feel the coolness of the late August air. Hear the gentle, almost silent hum of the telescope's motor as it tracks the slow, deliberate dance of the stars across the sky. This is a meditation. It is a practice of patience. You do not demand that the universe reveal its secrets. You simply wait, and you watch, and you remain open to wonder. And so it was on the 30th of August in 2019. Gennady was scanning a familiar patch of sky near the constellation Gemini. He was hunting for comets, those beautiful, ghostly visitors from the icy depths of our own solar system. On his computer screen, the images from his telescope appeared. They were fields of black, sprinkled with the sharp, steady pinpricks of distant stars. But in one frame, there was something else, something faint, something fuzzy. It was not a sharp point of light like a star. It had a soft glow about it, a small, concentrated haze, a coma. Experienced observers like Gennady know this sight well. It is the signature of a comet. The sun's distant warmth has begun to stir the ice on its surface, and it has begun to exhale a thin, vaporous atmosphere. He felt a quiet spark of excitement, the familiar thrill of discovery. He checked his charts, his databases. Had anyone else seen this? Was it a known object, simply passing through? No, it was new. He reported his finding, as all good astronomers do, to the Minor Planet Center, the official clearinghouse for all such discoveries. He gave them the coordinates, the time, the faint glimmer of data he had captured. And then he and others continued to watch. Night after night, they tracked its slow movement against the backdrop of stars. And as they watched, a profound realization began to dawn. This fuzzy little patch of light was not behaving like a local. It was not following the rules of our solar system. The story of its journey, written in the language of mathematics and motion, was unlike any they had ever read before. That tiny, fuzzy patch of light, found not by a giant, automated sky survey, but by a single, passionate individual with a telescope he built himself, was a traveler from another star. The universe, in its infinite generosity, had sent a messenger, and Gennady Borisov, the quiet watcher in Crimea, was the first to greet it. This is the first secret, that the grandest truths are not always found in the loudest places. Sometimes they arrive as a whisper, a faint glimmer on a dark screen, found only by a curious and patient heart that has taken the time to simply look up and wonder. Let that feeling of quiet passion, of patient discovery settle over you now, as we drift deeper into the night. As observatories around the world turned their powerful eyes toward this new visitor, they began to trace its path. They played its motion backwards and forwards in time, plotting its trajectory through our solar system. The universe is governed by laws, elegant and unwavering. The most powerful of these, in the celestial realm, is gravity. It is the invisible hand that choreographs the dance of planets, the waltz of galaxies. In our solar system, everything is bound by the immense gravity of our sun. Planets, asteroids, and our own comets travel in closed loops, elegant ellipses that always, eventually, bring them back around. Think of it like a gentle cosmic tether. They can swing far out into the dark, but they can never truly leave. They are part of the family. But this comet, Borisov, was different. Its path was not a closed loop. It was not an ellipse. It was an open curve, a shape mathematicians call a hyperbola. Imagine drawing a line in the sand. An ellipse is a circle you've gently stretched, a shape that encloses a space that always reconnects with itself. A hyperbola is different. It is a sweeping, open arc. It comes in from one direction, makes a single sharp turn, and then heads off in a completely new direction, never to return. It is the path of a wanderer, a traveler just passing through. This was the second and perhaps the most profound secret of Comet Borisov. Its path was the definitive proof that it did not belong to us. Visualize its journey. For countless eons, it drifted through the interstellar void, the vast empty space between the stars. Then, by chance, its path intersected with the gravitational territory of our sun. Feel the gentle, persistent pull of our star's gravity begin to tug on it. It's not a violent capture, but a slow, graceful bending of its path. Instead of being caught in an orbit, it was merely deflected. It was like a ship sailing on a straight course across a great ocean, passing by a single island. The island's gravity might alter its course slightly, pulling it into a gentle curve, but it's not enough to stop it. The ship sails on. Borisov was that ship. Our sun was that island. The astronomers calculated the shape of this curve, its eccentricity. An object in a perfect circular orbit has an eccentricity of 0. An elliptical orbit, like Earth's, is slightly more than 0. But Borisov's orbit had an eccentricity of around 3.4. This number, so simple and clinical, told a breathtaking story. It was a mathematical confirmation of its alien origin. This comet was not tethered to our sun. It was a free agent of the galaxy. It was moving too fast, carrying too much momentum from its interstellar journey to ever be captured. It would sweep in, make its closest approach to our sun, and then gravity would fling it back out like a slingshot into the deep dark. It would never come back. This was a one-time visit, a fleeting encounter. And in that knowledge, there is a kind of beautiful poignancy. We were granted a brief audience with a traveler from an unknown land, a land we can only dream of. Its path, that elegant, open hyperbola, was its signature, its declaration of independence. It was a stranger, and its path was the story of its freedom. Let the image of that graceful, sweeping curve soothe you. A path with no beginning and no end we can see, only the journey itself. Now, let us consider the nature of this journey. The path told us where it was going, but its speed told us a story of where it had been. Comet Borisov was moving with an almost unbelievable velocity. As it cruised through our solar system, it was traveling at over 175,000 kilometers per hour. That's more than 48 kilometers every single second. To put that into perspective, the Voyager 1 spacecraft, the fastest object humanity has ever sent into the cosmos, is traveling at about 17 kilometers per second.
Borisov was nearly 3 times faster. It was not just a visitor, it was a cosmic speed demon. But this speed was not born of violence or explosion. It was a gift from its long, long journey. Think of it this way. Over millions of years, as Borisov drifted through the Milky Way, it would occasionally pass by other stars. Each time it did, it would receive a tiny gravitational nudge, a little push, a gentle acceleration. It was like a celestial surfer catching gravitational waves from passing stars, each one adding a little more energy, a little more speed to its journey. Its incredible velocity was the sum total of all those ancient, distant encounters. It carried the memory of 1,000 gravitational handshakes in its motion. Feel that sense of immense, effortless speed, not a frantic, chaotic rush, but a smooth, silent, inexorable glide. Imagine yourself as the comet. The universe isn't rushing past you. Rather, you are flowing through it, part of a great cosmic river. Stars, distant and soft, drift by like streetlights on a long forgotten highway. Nebula, great clouds of gas and dust, appear as soft, colorful mists in the distance, and then recede behind you. This is a journey of immense antiquity. For all of its speed, it is a journey of profound patience. When astronomers calculated its speed before it ever felt the strong pull of our sun, they found it was moving at about 32 kilometers per second relative to our star. This is its excess velocity, the speed it would have left over after it escaped our system. This speed is a secret fingerprint. It tells us that the comet was not just sitting still in interstellar space and happened to drift in. It was actively traveling. It was an object truly in motion between the stars. It was born in another solar system, and at some point long ago, it was thrown out, ejected from its home by the gravitational dance of giant planets. And since that moment of exile, it has been sailing on the galactic winds, accumulating speed, accumulating memories. Its velocity is not just a number, it is the story of its solitude, the evidence of its epic voyage. It is the third secret. That great speed can be a sign not of haste, but of a long, patient journey through the quiet emptiness. A journey that has now, for a brief, wondrous moment, brought it here to us. Let the feeling of this smooth, silent, powerful motion carry you deeper into relaxation, drifting on a cosmic current toward sleep. As Borisov drew closer, astronomers everywhere trained their instruments on it, eager to learn more. And what they saw was, in its own way, just as surprising as its path and its speed. The first interstellar visitor, a strange object discovered in 2017 named Oumuamua, was a complete enigma. It was small, dark, oddly elongated, and it showed no signs of being a comet. It was a silent, tumbling rock, a shard of an unknown world that offered few clues about its nature. Scientists were prepared for Borisov to be just as strange, just as alien. But it wasn't. Borisov looked familiar. As it neared the sun, it began to grow a soft, glowing halo of gas and dust around its nucleus. This cloud is called a coma, and trailing behind it, pushed away by the gentle pressure of sunlight, was a faint, ethereal tail. It looked, for all the worlds, exactly like a comet from our own solar system. Like the comets that come from our own distant reservoirs of ice, the Kuiper Belt beyond Neptune, or the even more remote Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of icy bodies surrounding our entire solar system. It looked like a ghost we recognized, a familiar friend from an unfamiliar place. Imagine its appearance in the deep black of space, a tiny, solid heart of ice and rock, only a kilometer or so across, completely invisible. But as the distant warmth of our sun began to touch its surface, the ancient ices, frozen for millennia, began to stir. They didn't melt. In the vacuum of space, they sublimated, turning directly from solid ice into gas. This gas, carrying with it fine grains of dust, expanded outwards, forming a beautiful temporary atmosphere, a glowing, fuzzy ball of light in the darkness. The sunlight, even from hundreds of millions of kilometers away, illuminated this cloud, making it visible to our telescopes. And the solar wind, a constant stream of particles flowing from the sun, pushed this material away, stretching it out into a delicate, diaphanous tail that pointed away from the sun, like a cosmic weather vane. This familiarity was the fourth secret. It was a secret hidden in plain sight. It whispered a profound truth across the interstellar gulf. The processes that build comets might be universal. The same way a snowflake forms in the clouds above Siberia or in the mountains of Chile, following the same laws of physics, so too, it seems, do comets form in the cold, dark nurseries around other stars. It suggested that our solar system wasn't an anomaly.
The way our home was built, with a star at the center, rocky planets close in, gas giants further out, and a distant repository of icy comets, might be a common blueprint throughout the galaxy. Borisov was a sample, a piece of another star's Oort cloud delivered to our doorstep. And by looking at it, we were seeing a reflection of our own origins. It was an alien, yet it felt like kin. It was a ghost, but it was a familiar ghost, and its presence was deeply comforting. It connected us to the rest of the universe in a way no abstract theory ever could. It told us that we are not alone in the way we were made. Let this sense of comforting familiarity, of cosmic connection, wash over you now, a gentle reminder that even in the vastest of spaces, there are echoes of home. That familiar, ghostly appearance was an invitation. It beckoned us to look closer, to analyze the light from its faint, glowing coma and unravel the chemical secrets held within. And when we did, we found something truly extraordinary. Using the powerful tools of spectroscopy, which allows us to see the unique fingerprints of different atoms and molecules in light, astronomers detected the clear signature of water, H2O, the same water that fills our oceans, that falls as gentle rain, that makes up more than half of our own bodies. It was sublimating from Borisov's surface, a fine mist of water vapor being released into space as it felt the first real warmth it had known in ages. This was the fifth secret, a discovery of profound importance. It was the very first time that water from another solar system had been directly detected. For so long we have wondered, is our home, with its abundance of liquid water, a cosmic rarity? Or is water a common ingredient throughout the galaxy? Borisov's whispered answer was clear. Water is not unique to us. It is an interstellar traveler. It is a cosmic staple. The building blocks of worlds like ours are likely scattered everywhere, like seeds on the wind. Visualize it now. Imagine a single, impossibly ancient ice crystal on the surface of the comet's dark nucleus. For millions of years, it has been locked in a state of deep, deep cold, far below freezing. But now, a distant but powerful star, our sun, is warming it. Feel that gentle, pervasive warmth. The crystal doesn't melt into a droplet. In the airless vacuum, it shimmers, and its very structure loosens. It transforms directly into a gas, a single molecule of water released from its long imprisonment. It joins billions upon billions of others, a shimmering, invisible cloud rising from the surface. Hear a faint, crystalline hiss, a sound too soft for any ear to truly hear, the sound of ancient ice waking up. This is the water of a distant world, a world we will never see, a gift from another star. The implications ripple outwards, gently and peacefully. If comets in other systems have water, then it is likely that the planets in those systems also had access to water when they were forming. Comets like Borisov, in its own home, may have delivered water to young rocky planets, just as comets are thought to have delivered water to a young Earth, filling the first oceans. That simple molecule, two hydrogen atoms bonded to one oxygen, is the essential medium for life as we know it. Finding it in a visitor from so far away is a quiet, hopeful message. It suggests that the galaxy is filled with possibilities. It tells us that the conditions for life might not be a miracle, but a common feature of the cosmos. Let that thought comfort you, the thought of a galaxy rich with the potential for life, a universe where the water of our world is also the water of 1,000 other distant worlds. Drift on that peaceful thought now, as we uncover the next secret. The discovery of water was just the beginning. As scientists looked even more closely at the cocktail of gases in Borisov's coma, they found another molecule in astonishing abundance, carbon monoxide, CO. A simple molecule, one carbon atom, one oxygen atom. It is common in our own comets, but Borisov had much, much more of it than any comet from our solar system. The concentration was unusually, remarkably high. This was not just a minor detail, it was a powerful clue, a chemical fingerprint that pointed directly to the kind of place Borisov was born. This was its sixth secret, a breath of deep cold. To understand this secret, we must think about how things freeze. Here on Earth, we know water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, but other substances freeze at much colder temperatures. Carbon monoxide only freezes into a solid ice at incredibly low temperatures, around -250 degrees Celsius. In a developing solar system, there is a concept known as a frost line or snow line. It is the distance from the central star where it becomes cold enough for a certain substance to freeze. There is a frost line for water. Further out, where it is much colder, there is a frost line for carbon monoxide.
The fact that Comet Borisov was so rich in carbon monoxide ice told a fascinating story. It must have formed in an incredibly frigid region of its home star system, a place far, far away from the warmth of its parent star, well beyond its own carbon monoxide frost line. Imagine a place of profound stillness and deep, perpetual twilight. A place where the parent star is just a bright point of light, offering little warmth, only a distant glimmer. Here, in this extreme cold, fine grains of dust and ice slowly came together, accumulating not just water ice, but also this vast reservoir of frozen carbon monoxide. Feel that coldness now. Not a harsh, biting cold, but a deep, still, and ancient cold. The kind of cold that preserves things perfectly. Borisov was a time capsule from this frigid nursery. Its high CO content was a message, a piece of chemical data that described its birthplace more clearly than any picture could. It told us that in its home system, the building materials for comets existed in this carbon-rich, extremely cold environment. Perhaps its star was a cooler, dimmer star than our own sun, a red dwarf, which would make its entire solar system a much colder place. Or perhaps it was simply born in the extreme outer reaches of a system much like ours. The comet carried this breath of deep cold with it on its journey. For millions of years, as it drifted through interstellar space, it remained in that state of profound chill. Only now, as it passed through our home, was this ancient breath being released. This unique chemical signature was a gift. It allowed us to study the chemistry of a distant protoplanetary disk, the birthplace of planets and comets, without ever leaving our own solar system. Borisov was its ambassador. Let the feeling of this pure, ancient cold soothe you. It is the cold of untouched places, the quiet of the deep cosmos, a stillness that brings with it a profound sense of peace. And the chemical story continued to unfold. Beyond water and carbon monoxide, astronomers detected other, more complex molecules in Borisov's faint coma. They found the signature of cyanide, a molecule written as CN, and diatomic carbon, C2. Now, the word cyanide can sound alarming to our earthly ears, but in the cosmos, its meaning is very different. It is not a poison, but a promise. This is the seventh secret. The universe uses the same building blocks everywhere. In the vast, cold clouds between the stars, where new stars and planets are born, cyanide is one of the most common and important molecules. It is a fundamental piece in the intricate puzzle of cosmic chemistry. This simple molecule, one carbon atom bonded to one nitrogen atom, is what we call a precursor. It is a vital ingredient in the chain of chemical reactions that can lead to the formation of amino acids. And amino acids, as you may know, are the building blocks of proteins, the essential machinery of life itself. So when we see cyanide in a comet, whether it's one of our own or a visitor like Borisov, we are seeing the raw ingredients for life. Borisov carried these ingredients across the interstellar ocean. Its presence reinforces a beautiful and profound idea. The basic chemistry needed to begin life is not unique to our corner of the universe. It is universal. The very same atoms, forming the very same simple molecules, are present in the gas surrounding a comet from another star as they are in the nebulae where our own sun was born. Visualize these molecules now. Not as abstract letters, but as tiny, glowing structures, like constellations in miniature. See them tumbling and spinning in the comet's gaseous halo, released from the ice after an eon of sleep. The carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, the hydrogen, these are the elements forged in the hearts of stars long dead. They have traveled across the galaxy, been incorporated into clouds of gas and dust, formed a star, a planetary system, a comet, and now that comet has brought them here, to us. We are, in the most literal sense, made of the same stuff. Borisov wasn't carrying life, but it was carrying the recipe. It was a cosmic delivery service showcasing the universal availability of the fundamental components. The presence of these molecules in an interstellar visitor is a powerful piece of evidence that if life is to begin elsewhere, it will likely have the same chemical toolkit to work with. It connects our own biology, the very substance of our bodies, to the grand, silent chemistry playing out in the darkest corners of space. There is a deep and reassuring unity in this thought. We are not separate from the cosmos, we are a local expression of it. The laws of chemistry that govern our own existence are the same laws that govern a lonely comet millions of light years from its home. Let this feeling of universal connection, of intricate and beautiful chemistry, lull you into a state of deep tranquility. Every traveler has a home, a point of origin.
And so, with Borisov's path mapped so precisely, the next question was obvious. Where did it come from? Which star is its parent? Astronomers took the elegant hyperbola of its trajectory and traced it backward in time, projecting its path out into the galaxy. They hoped to find a star that it had recently passed, a star from which it could have been ejected. But the galaxy is a busy, moving place. Stars are not fixed points of light, they are all in motion, orbiting the center of the Milky Way. And Borisov's journey had been a long one. This led them to the eighth secret, a secret of profound and poetic mystery. Borisov is an orphan of the stars. Despite the best efforts of the world's astronomers, we cannot pinpoint its parent star. Its path does not lead definitively to any known star system. For a brief time, there was a candidate. Its trajectory seemed to point back toward a nearby binary star system called Kruger 60. It was a tantalizing possibility. Perhaps millions of years ago, Borisov was a resident of this system, orbiting one or both of its two red dwarf stars. Perhaps the complex gravitational dance of those two stars and their forming planets flung it out into the dark. But as the calculations were refined and the motion of the stars was accounted for more precisely, the connection faded.
It was a close pass, but likely just a coincidence, another star it had sailed by on its endless journey. And so, Borisov remains a foundling, a cosmic orphan. We know its story from the moment it entered our home, but the chapters before that are lost to the immense distances of time and space. We can only imagine its origin story. We can picture a young star system, turbulent and chaotic, with giant planets migrating in their orbits, their immense gravity flinging smaller bodies, comets and asteroids, around like pebbles. Our own solar system did this in its youth. The giant planets, Jupiter and Saturn, likely ejected trillions of comets from our home, sending them out to become interstellar travelers themselves. It is a natural part of planetary system formation. Borisov is almost certainly one such exile. There is a sense of vast emptiness and loneliness in this thought, a tiny object cast out from its home, destined to wander forever in the cold and the dark. But there is also a sense of incredible freedom. It is untethered, unbound. Its journey is its own. Imagine looking back along its trail. You see the faint glimmer of our sun receding into the distance. But beyond that, the trail stretches into blackness. There is no visible beginning. There is only the journey itself. The millions of years of silent flight, the slow passage of distant, sleeping galaxies, the quiet encounters with stars it would never call home. This unknown origin is part of Borisov's magic. It reminds us that the universe is under no obligation to reveal all of its secrets. Some stories are for us to wonder about. Borisov is a mystery, a message in a bottle from an unknown shore. It is a testament to the sheer scale of the cosmos, where an object can travel for so long and from so far that its own history becomes untraceable. It is a symbol of the great, beautiful unknown, and in that not knowing, there is a kind of peace. We don't have to have all the answers. Sometimes it is enough to simply witness the passage of a mysterious and beautiful stranger, and to be grateful for the encounter. While the coma and tail were a beautiful spectacle, they were also a veil hiding the true heart of the visitor. The real object, the source of all this gas and dust, was the nucleus. And the ninth secret lies within this solid, unseen core. For all the grandeur of its journey and the significance of its message, the vessel itself was remarkably small. This is the secret of the heart of the visitor. Trying to see the nucleus of an active comet is like trying to see a single stone at the heart of a dust storm. The bright, glowing coma of gas and dust that surrounded it made direct observation incredibly difficult. The tiny nucleus was lost in the glare of its own magnificent atmosphere. But by carefully analyzing the amount of gas being produced, and by using powerful telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope to get the sharpest possible images, astronomers could estimate its size. The consensus is that the nucleus of Comet Borisov was probably only a kilometer or two across, perhaps even smaller. Let that sink in. A piece of rock and ice, no bigger than a small mountain on Earth, traveled for millions of years across trillions of kilometers of interstellar space. It is a staggering feat of endurance. This tiny object carried within its frozen matrix all the secrets we have been uncovering. The water of another world, the breath of deep cold, the building blocks of life, all of it packed into a dark, irregular chunk of primordial material. Picture it now, in your mind's eye, stripped of its beautiful coma. A dark shape, darker than coal, tumbling slowly and silently through the void. Its surface is not smooth, but craggy and uneven, a landscape of ancient ice and dust. It reflects almost no light, absorbing the faint starlight of the galaxy. It is dense, ancient, and profoundly quiet. Feel the immense age of this small object. It is a relic from the very beginning of its solar system, a leftover piece from the construction of planets. It has witnessed more time, more emptiness than we can possibly comprehend. This tiny vessel carried an immense story. It is a powerful reminder that significance is not always about size. A single seed can hold the blueprint for a giant tree. A single word can carry a universe of meaning.
And a single, small comet, a forgotten piece of debris from an unknown star system, can carry a message that reshapes our understanding of the galaxy. It is a lesson in cosmic humility and wonder. The greatest stories are often carried in the smallest packages. Let the image of this small, dark, and ancient heart of the comet float peacefully in your mind, a symbol of resilience, of endurance, and of the profound stories that even the humblest of objects can tell. As Borisov continued its journey, arcing through our solar system toward its closest approach to the Sun, the show truly began. The gentle warming it had felt in the outer solar system intensified. This brings us to the 10th secret, the creation of its beautiful, transient veil of stardust. The story of how a dark, inert rock transforms into a celestial specter. Imagine the comet, a nucleus of dark ice and dust drawing nearer to the sun. The sunlight, which had been a faint, distant glimmer, now becomes a source of real energy. Feel a gentle, pervasive warmth spreading across the side of the nucleus facing our star. This warmth penetrates the surface, and the ancient frozen gases within, the water, the carbon monoxide, the other ices, begin to sublimate more and more rapidly. They burst forth from the surface in jets and plumes, like geysers of vapor erupting into the vacuum. But these ices are not pure. Mixed in with them, frozen since the dawn of their world, are countless tiny grains of dust and rock. As the ices turn to gas and expand away from the nucleus, they carry this dust with them. The gas forms the invisible part of the coma, but the dust becomes the part we see most clearly. Each tiny mote of dust, a speck of another solar system's rock, is now free. And as it floats away from the nucleus, it catches the sunlight. See it now, a cloud of billions upon billions of tiny diamonds, each one sparkling as it catches the light. This is the coma, the dusty, glowing halo that surrounds the comet's heart. It grows larger and brighter as the comet gets closer to the sun, and the sublimation becomes more intense. And this cloud of gas and dust is what creates the magnificent tail. The comet actually grows two distinct tails, both pointing away from the sun. The first is the dust tail. The gentle but constant pressure of sunlight itself pushes on these tiny dust particles. It's a very small force, but in the frictionless environment of space, it's enough. It pushes the dust grains away from the sun, but because the comet is also moving in its orbit, the dust particles are left behind in a long, broad, curving trail. This dust tail shines with a soft, yellowish-white light, the reflected light of our sun. It is the visible, graceful memory of the comet's path. The second tail is the ion tail, or gas tail. Some of the gas molecules in the coma are struck by the sun's ultraviolet radiation, which strips away an electron, giving them an electrical charge. These charged particles are then grabbed by the solar wind, a fast-moving stream of charged particles constantly flowing out from the sun. The solar wind is much more powerful than the pressure of sunlight, and it blows the ions straight out, directly away from the sun, like smoke in a strong wind. This ion tail is much thinner, straighter, and because of the specific gases involved, it glows with a faint, ethereal blue light. So, picture the complete celestial marvel, the small, dark nucleus at the center, hidden from view. Surrounding it, a vast, glowing coma of sparkling dust. And streaming away from it, for millions of kilometers, are two majestic tails, one broad, curved, and golden, the other long, straight, and blue. A veil of stardust spun from the substance of another world, made visible by the light of our star. It is a temporary, beautiful creation, a work of art painted by the laws of physics on the black canvas of space. It is a spectacle that existed for only a few months, a fleeting gift from our interstellar guest. All of these observations, the color, the composition, the behavior, pointed to something remarkable, something that elevated Borisov from a mere curiosity to a priceless artifact.
This is the 11th secret. It was a message in a bottle, unopened and perfectly preserved. Evidence suggests that Borisov was a truly pristine comet.
What does that mean? It means that our sun was very likely the first star it had ever passed close to, ever. In its entire multi-million-year existence, it had never been warmed, never been stressed, never had its ancient ices vaporized by the heat of a nearby star. Think of the comets in our own solar system. Many of them, like Halley's Comet, are periodic visitors. They swing by the sun every few decades or centuries. Each time they do, they are baked by the sun's heat. They lose a layer of their most volatile ices, the ones that turn to gas at the lowest temperatures, like frozen carbon monoxide. Over time, these comets become weathered, aged. They are like a book that has been read many times, its pages softened and worn. But Borisov was different. Its incredibly high concentration of carbon monoxide, that breath of deep cold we spoke of, was the key. This abundance of such a volatile ice suggests its surface had never been significantly heated before. It had been kept in a state of cosmic deep freeze since the moment it formed. When it was ejected from its home system, it was likely thrown out from that far, cold region where it was born, sent on its interstellar journey without ever making a pass by its own parent star. It was a cosmic newborn, immediately sent on a grand voyage. For all those eons, drifting in the near absolute zero temperatures of interstellar space, it remained perfectly preserved. It was a time capsule, its contents untouched and unaltered since the dawn of its world. We were not just reading a message, we were breaking the seal. Our sun and our observations were the first time this message had ever been read. Feel the wonder of that for a moment, a sense of witnessing a cosmic first. It's like discovering a cavern that has been sealed for millions of years. Imagine being the first to enter. The air inside is ancient, still, and completely pure. That is what Borisov was. It was a sample of the raw, unprocessed, primordial material from which planets are made, delivered to our doorstep in perfect condition. It wasn't just a comet, it was a page from the galaxy's book of Genesis, and we were the first to read it. The information it gave us about its chemistry wasn't just a description of a comet. It was a description of the interstellar cloud from which its home star was born. A pristine message in a bottle sent across an ocean of time and space just for us to find. Let that feeling of opening something ancient, something sacred and untouched, fill you with a deep sense of peace and wonder. This precious visitor did not arrive in a vacuum. Its appearance in 2019 came just 2 years after the discovery of the first ever confirmed interstellar object, a mysterious traveler named Oumuamua. And by comparing these two, we uncover the 12th secret, the tale of two travelers, a story that reveals the potential diversity of the galaxy's wanderers. Oumuamua was an enigma from the moment it was spotted. Its name is a Hawaiian word that can be translated as a messenger from afar arriving first, or scout. And it behaved like a scout, silent, mysterious, and revealing very little. It was small, dark red, and appeared to be completely inert, like an asteroid. It showed no fuzzy coma, no tail, nothing to suggest it was made of ice. And yet it accelerated away from the sun slightly faster than gravity alone could explain, a behavior typical of comets, whose outgassing acts like a gentle rocket engine. But there was no outgassing to be seen. Its shape was also deduced to be highly unusual, perhaps 10 times longer than it was wide, like a cosmic needle, or incredibly flat, like a piece of cosmic shrapnel. It gave us more questions than answers. It was a secret held tight. Then came Borisov. Where Oumuamua was a silent, rocky shard, Borisov was a talkative, icy snowball. Where Oumuamua was strange and alien in its appearance, Borisov was comforting in its familiarity. It looked and behaved exactly as a comet should. It generously unfurled its coma and tail, allowing us to read its chemical composition, to find its water, to sense the deep cold of its birthplace. It was a whisper, a friendly and open messenger that seemed eager to share its story. Juxtapose the two images in your mind. First, Oumuamua,
a dark, reddish, silent object tumbling end over end through the darkness, its secrets locked away inside its rocky form. It feels dense, ancient, and unknowable. Now picture Borisov, a soft, ethereal glow in the blackness, a fuzzy coma of light with a faint, translucent tail stretching out behind it. It feels gentle, active, and communicative. One is like a sealed, ancient stone, the other a cloud of luminous dust. Together, these two travelers paint a richer picture of what wanders the interstellar void.
They tell us there is no single type of interstellar object. The galaxy sends forth not just one kind of messenger, but many. It ejects pristine comets from the cold outer edges of star systems, like Borisov. And it also seems to eject rocky, processed fragments from the inner regions, perhaps the shattered remnants of small planets or large asteroids, like Oumuamua may have been. The first visitor was an enigma that sparked our imagination and left us baffled. The second was a friend that brought us data and a sense of connection. They are the first two data points in what will one day be a vast catalog of such visitors. One a riddle, the other a Rosetta Stone. The tale of these two travelers reveals that the galaxy is a complex and varied place, filled with stories of all kinds, some whispered softly, and others held in a profound and mysterious silence. Every journey must come to an end. For Borisov, its journey through our solar system was always destined to be brief. But its departure was more poignant than anyone expected. The very thing that made it such a perfect, pristine messenger also contained the seeds of its own undoing. And so we come to the 13th secret, a farewell in fragments. As Borisov reached its closest point to the Sun in December of 2019, it endured the maximum bombardment of heat and radiation. Then, as it began its long journey back out into the cold, the stresses it had endured began to take their toll. Imagine a piece of ice taken from a deep freezer and plunged into warm water. It cracks, it fractures. The sudden change in temperature, the thermal shock, is too much for its structure to bear. A similar fate awaited Borisov. In March of 2020, long after it had begun its retreat from the Sun, astronomers using the Hubble Space Telescope noticed something unusual. The comet's core, its tiny nucleus, had suddenly brightened. And a few days later, a second observation revealed why. A piece of the nucleus had broken off. A fragment, perhaps a few hundred meters across, had detached from the main body and was now drifting away, forming its own tiny, faint coma. The single point of light had softly split in two. This was a beautiful but sad moment. The comet, which had survived a journey of millions of years through the interstellar void, was being broken apart by its first and only encounter with a star. The pristine, loosely packed structure of its nucleus, so perfectly preserved by the deep cold, was not strong enough to withstand the gravitational pull and the thermal stresses of its solar passage. It was too fragile, too untouched. Its purity was its vulnerability. Hear in your imagination a gentle, silent cracking sound, like the sound of ice shifting on a frozen lake in the spring. See that single fuzzy point of light in the darkness softly elongate, and then resolve into two distinct, unequal pieces, slowly drifting apart. It was a moment of dissolution, of release. The comet was not destroyed in a violent explosion, but was gently surrendering to the laws of physics. It was a quiet, graceful farewell. In the weeks that followed, the comet continued to fade faster than expected, suggesting that it may have been continuing to break apart into smaller and smaller unresolvable pieces. It was dissolving back into the stardust from which it came. It had delivered its message, and now its vessel was being decommissioned. But in this act of fragmentation, it left something behind. Those pieces, those fragments of an interstellar comet, are now on their own hyperbolic trajectories, but they are trajectories that were shaped here, in our home. Borisov left a part of itself with us, a final ghostly memento of its visit.
And as the main comet and its fragments receded, fading back into the darkness from which they came, they left us with a feeling not of loss, but of gratitude for the brief, wondrous encounter. The visit may be over, the traveler may have departed, but the story is far from finished. The legacy of Borisov and of Oumuamua before it is not just in the data they provided, but in the door they opened. This is the 14th secret, the promise of more to come. For centuries, we looked up at the sky and assumed everything we saw was a member of our own celestial family. These two visitors shattered that assumption forever. They proved that the great ocean of interstellar space is not empty, but is filled with travelers making their way from star to star. We have now seen two, and we are building the tools to see thousands. The discovery of Borisov was made possible by the dedication of astronomers, both amateur and professional, all over the world. But finding these objects is difficult. They are small, faint, and move quickly. It's like trying to spot a single dark pebble thrown across a vast black field at night. But a new generation of observatories is coming online, designed specifically to map the changing sky with unprecedented power.
Chief among them is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, now being built high in the mountains of Chile. When it begins its work, the Rubin Observatory will be a true game changer. It will have a massive mirror and a camera the size of a small car, the largest digital camera ever constructed. Its mission is to conduct a decade-long survey of the sky, imaging the entire visible southern sky every few nights. It will produce a motion picture of the universe, detecting anything that moves or changes in brightness. And in this torrent of data, scientists expect to find not one or two interstellar objects, but dozens every single year. Imagine the feeling of anticipation, a sense of a great opening up. We have been sitting by the shore of the cosmic ocean for all of human history, and we have finally seen two strange and wonderful ships sail by. Now we are building a lighthouse, a watchtower that will scan the entire horizon, constantly waiting for new arrivals. The discovery of an interstellar object will no longer be a once-in-a-lifetime event. It will become a regular occurrence. A new field of astronomy will be born. We will be able to study the statistics of these visitors. Are they mostly icy, like Borisov, or rocky, like Oumuamua? Do they come from all directions equally? Or do they come from particular streams, perhaps the remnants of a shredded star cluster? Each new visitor will be another whisper from the galaxy, another piece of the puzzle. The conversation has just begun. Borisov and Oumuamua were the opening words. The Rubin Observatory and other new telescopes will allow us to listen to the full story. Visualize it now. A map of the night sky, and on it countless faint trails, invisible to our eyes, crisscrossing the darkness. These are the paths of future visitors waiting to be discovered. We are on the verge of meeting so many more messengers from our galactic neighbors. The quiet wonder we feel tonight, contemplating this one special comet, will soon be a feeling we can experience again and again. The universe is about to become a much more talkative and a much more familiar place. And so we have followed this traveler on its journey, from its discovery by a patient watcher on a warm Crimean night to its final fragmented farewell. We have unraveled its secrets, reading the messages of its speed, its familiar form, and its alien chemistry. We have learned of its pristine nature and its mysterious unknown home. We have seen it as a physical object, a tiny nucleus that wore a veil of stardust. And as we gather all these threads of its story together, we arrive at the final and perhaps most important secret of all. It is a secret about the comet, but it is also a secret about ourselves. The 15th secret is this: we are made of stardust, and the visitor was our kin. For all of its alien origins, for all the unimaginable distance it crossed, Comet Borisov was not fundamentally strange. The laws of physics that guided its path are the same laws that hold you gently in your bed tonight. The atoms that made up its ices,
The hydrogen, the oxygen, the carbon, the nitrogen are among the most common elements in the universe, the very same elements that make up our planet, our atmosphere, and our bodies. The water it carried, that first ever detection of extrasolar water, was the same H2O that sustains all life on Earth. The complex molecules it carried, the precursors to amino acids, were the same chemical building blocks that nature used here on our world to begin the long, patient journey of life. Borisov was a physical link, a tangible handshake between our solar system and another. It was a messenger that traveled not just through space, but through the very idea of separation itself. It crossed the void that makes us feel isolated and showed us that the void is not empty, but is a highway. And on that highway travel the shared ingredients of creation. We look at Borisov and we see a reflection of our own origins. We see the same raw materials, the same potential. The visitor was alien, yet it was also family. It was a distant cousin, born of a different star, but raised on the same galactic chemistry. There is a profound peace in this realization. Feel it settle over you now. A deep feeling of connection, of oneness with the cosmos. Look up from our small world, in your mind's eye. See the Earth, a beautiful blue and white marble, hanging in the quiet darkness. Now imagine invisible threads of connection stretching out from our home. A thread to Borisov's unknown star system. Threads to all the stars you can see and the billions you cannot. These threads are woven from the shared elements, the universal laws, the common heritage of all matter and energy. We are not an island. We are part of a vast, interconnected cosmic web. The universe is not something out there, separate from us. We are in the universe, and the universe is in us.
Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star that lived and died long before our sun was born. You are, quite literally, made of stardust. And Borisov was a traveler made of that very same stardust, just a different batch. It was a reminder of our shared cosmic ancestry. It came to our home to remind us of our place in the grand, beautiful, and deeply connected whole. Let this feeling of oneness, of being a part of something so vast and so magnificent, be your final thought as you drift deeper and deeper into a peaceful, restful sleep. Our journey with this gentle visitor from afar is now coming to a close. Let us rest here for a moment in the deep, quiet space of cosmic reflection and gather the memories of its passage. We began our journey on a warm night in Crimea with a patient watcher who found a single, faint, fuzzy patch of light. A reminder that the greatest discoveries can be made by any of us with a curious and open heart. We traced the path of this stranger, a graceful, sweeping curve that told us it was not one of our own. It was a traveler just passing through, a free agent of the galaxy on a journey with no end we could see. We felt its immense speed, a silent, effortless glide, a velocity gifted to it by the gravity of countless stars it had passed in its long and lonely voyage through the void. And we saw its face, not of a bizarre alien, but of a familiar ghost, a comforting presence that looked and behaved just like the comets born in our own backyard, whispering to us of the universality of creation. From its glowing coma, we received its most precious gifts. The discovery of water from another world, a profound hint that the essential ingredient for life is scattered generously throughout the stars. We felt the breath of deep cold in its chemistry, the signature of its frigid and distant birthplace. And we saw the universal building blocks, the very same molecules that form the basis of life here, confirming that we share a common cosmic chemistry with worlds we may never know. We contemplated its mysterious origins, an orphan of the stars with known home, a beautiful and poetic testament to the vastness of the great unknown. We pictured its tiny, resilient heart, a nucleus no bigger than a mountain, carrying the weight of its immense story across an ocean of space. We watched as it spun a temporary, breathtaking veil of stardust, painting a masterpiece with gas and dust on the black canvas of the night, powered by the light of our sun.
We learned that it was a pristine messenger, an unopened bottle carrying a message from the dawn of its world, a message we were the first to ever read. We saw it in context, as one of two travelers, a gentle and forthcoming friend to the silent, enigmatic scout Oumuamua who came before. And we watched its poignant, graceful farewell, as it surrendered to the warmth of our sun, leaving fragments of itself behind as a final memento of its visit. We were left with the promise of more to come, the knowledge that this is just the beginning of a grand conversation with the galaxy. And finally, we understood the deepest secret of all, that this visitor was kin, made of the same stardust that makes up our world, our sun, and our very selves, a physical handshake that erased the distance between the stars. The comet itself is now far away. It has sailed past the orbits of the outermost planets, a faint speck dissolving back into the silent darkness, continuing its endless journey. It will never return. But it did not leave us as it found us. It left us with a new sense of wonder, a deeper sense of our place in the cosmos. The visitor has gone, but its message of a vast, interconnected galaxy remains. It echoes in the quiet of this room. It resonates in the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. The stardust that traveled for millions of years from an unknown star is the same stardust that breathes within you now. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in every cell of your body, all of it was forged in the heart of a star that lived and died long ago. You are a part of this grand cosmic story. You are a way for the universe to know itself. And as you lie here, ready for sleep, you are simply returning to that cosmic peace from which we all have come. Let the whispers from the Milky Way become the rhythm of your sleep. Let the soft, ancient light of distant stars be your gentle nightlight. There is no need to hold on to the day. Let it drift away, just as Comet Borisov is drifting away, back into the quiet and the dark. You are safe, you are at peace, and you are connected to everything. The universe is watching over you as you rest, as you recharge, as you drift and dream. Sleep now, rest now. The stars are waiting for you in your dreams. Sleep, deep, peaceful sleep.